let's move into our third and final main topic today. And our third and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Cam. And Cam writes, "Hey, John. So you know how ever since Endgame came out, you said you'd be willing to bet on Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans returning to the MCU. And I said Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, by the way, returning to the MCU. Well, it seems you were right. Deadline is reporting that Chris Evans is nearing a deal to join a future Marvel project. So, what could this be? A Disney Plus show about Cap returning the Infinity Stones, a movie about old man Steve kicking ass. But another question is this a good idea after he finally got his dance with Peggy?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And this is obviously the news of the day. This is the news of the day. And I certainly think maybe the best news I've heard, I don't know, since Disney did its shareholders meeting announcements where they announced all the Star Wars and Marvel projects and FX projects. That was a good day. That was a good day. And thanks to S-Beam for sending in a super chat badge in the live chat, man. Appreciate that. You guys know, especially the last 2 years or so, I never guarantee anything. Anything can happen, right? I think there are things that are very probable and very unlikely, but you never say never. The one thing that I have guaranteed in the last couple of years is, especially after Endgame, the one thing that I have guaranteed is Robert Downey Jr. will be back and Chris Evans will be back in the MCU. Maybe not this year, maybe not in 2 years, hell, maybe not even in 3 years, but they will be back. You watch, they will be back. It's the one thing I've guaranteed. Well, guess what? Part one has happened. Chris Evans is being reported by Deadline is indeed coming back. Let's jump on over and take a look and see what they say about it. This, of course, is coming from Deadline. Sources tell Deadline that Chris Evans is cleaning the dust off his Captain America attire as he is expected to reprise the role in the MCU in some form. Still vague if the deal is completely closed, but insiders say it's headed in that direction for Evans to return as Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, in at least one Marvel property, with the door open for a second film. Sources add it's unlikely to be a new Captain America installment and more likely to be what Robert Downey Jr. did after Iron Man 3, appearing in films like Captain America Civil War and Spider-Man Homecoming. That, of course, comes to us from Deadline. All right, let's dive into this a little bit. And special thanks to Adam Muhammad, who sent in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. This is a no-brainer. This was, as Thanos would say, this was inevitable. Chris Evans was always going to come back. And I'll just throw this out there now so we don't have to say it again later. Robert Downey Jr. is coming back too. Make no mistake. He's going to be back. Again, maybe not this year, maybe not in 2 years, maybe not in 3, but Robert Downey Jr. will be back as well. But let's focus right now on this incredible news of Chris Evans coming back. Interesting that they point out in this article that it's not likely to be like a Captain America 4. That's not terribly surprising. That's not terribly surprising because by having him take on the role that Robert Downey Jr. had for a number of years, where he was Iron Man, but we didn't get an Iron Man 4. He would pop up in Avengers films. He'd pop up in Captain America Civil War. He would pop up in Spider-Man, the Spider-Man movie. That made sense because it lessened his commitment and it kept him around. And Dean Dillon sends in a super chat in the live chat stream there. Thank you so much for that, Dean Dillon. Appreciate that. So it allowed them to use Robert Downey Jr. a lot more. He could be in Spider-Man and not have a heavy commitment to it. Probably only shot about 2 weeks for that. The other thing that makes this a no-brainer is simply this. Captain America is the face and the beating heart of the MCU. It's just that simple. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, you may be able to make an argument, might be the big draw and certainly maybe the most entertaining element of the MCU. I think there's a good argument to be made for that. But when it comes to the face of the MCU, the person, the character that embodies the MCU, when you're talking about a character that represents the highest ideals, but also the greatest excitement and action in the MCU, if you had to say that was one character, it's Captain America. Even within the movies themselves, Captain America seems to be the one guy they all revere the most. And it's not just Ant-Man. It's not just Ant-Man. You know, because obviously in Ant-Man and in Civil War, it's like, oh my God, you're Captain America. I mean, you're cool too, but he's Captain America. I mean, you just get that sense from everybody. This is Steve Rogers, man. This is Captain America. And that's important. And listen, a number of months ago, and by the way, Chris Hamilton sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thanks, Chris. What I pointed out in a video I made, Thoughts on Walks I made a few months ago. Some of you may remember it. I did a Thoughts on Walks talking about the challenges facing the MCU right now. And one of those challenges was you just lost the two main faces of the MCU. Because yes, there are many characters, many great characters like Thor and Black Widow and many, many others, Doctor Strange and Spider-Man's there now. Yes, but I don't think you're going to find anybody who would argue that the two main faces were Captain America and Iron Man. They were Captain Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. They were Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. And now they're missing. And I said in that video, they'll be back, but for now they're facing this bit of a challenge. He becomes that North Star. If that's a good, I don't want to overly romanticize it, but Captain America is the moral North Star of the entire MCU. And to have his presence there, the value of that is incalculable. Like it's off the charts. You cannot fully grasp the relevance and the importance of that and how much influence that will have in the overall thing. It's vital. And so, of course, he's back. Now, the big question becomes, or at least one of the big questions becomes, and Ronnie Hawthorne sends in a super chat badge in the live chats. Thanks, Ronnie. One of the vital questions that's going to be now hanging in the air is, well, how are they going to do it? That's great. He's coming back. Wonderful. But how exactly are you going to pull it off? What's the mechanism? Now, it should be said that Deadline is saying that they're hearing it's probably not going to be a standalone Captain America movie. Okay. That means to me there's still a possibility of that, right? However rare, but I agree with Deadline. It wouldn't make sense to bring him back and do like a Captain America 4 or something like that. It seems to make sense, but Deadline didn't say, and Epic Dubtime sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thanks, Epic. They specifically were saying it doesn't look like it's going to be that. So I suppose that means the possibility is still open that there's going to be like a Captain America 4. I'm guessing they're right about that, and I'm going to guess that that's not the case, but we got to keep in mind it is still a possibility. There is a possibility for a Captain America 4. So then, if it is going to be him playing important roles in other movies and in larger scale MCU movies, where can we see him? Well, there's a couple of options here. A lot of people are suggesting it could be Falcon and Winter Soldier. A lot of people think it could be Falcon and Winter Soldier. And in many ways, you could sort of understand that. You could totally see why somebody would think that maybe there's a possibility it could be Falcon and Winter Soldier. After all, these are the two characters most closely connected with Captain America. Hell, he passed his shield on to one of them, and the other one is his lifelong best friend. So that makes sense. The problem, though, with the theory that it could be Falcon and Winter Soldier, of course, is the fact that Falcon and Winter Soldier is already shot. That series is done shooting. You know, having Chris Evans now in negotiations to appear in something that is already wrapped doesn't make any sense. It also doesn't really make any sense to have to negotiate a contract with Chris Evans to appear as Captain America, to have him pop up in some quick little one-shot cameo thing that you could shoot around in Falcon and Winter Soldier. So Falcon and Winter Soldier is a possibility, but I think it's very, very unlikely. I mean, somebody just pointed out, Craig Stratton in the live chat points out a very valid point. I mean, maybe it's Falcon and Winter Soldier season 2, possibly. We don't know that there's going to be a season 2 of that, but that could be a possibility as well. So that's one of the options, but I'm guessing it's not that. Another option that we would have to look at is probably Doctor Strange 2. Doctor Strange 2 is one that is, you know, like ramping up, if not already just recently began shooting. Again, if they haven't already begun shooting, I think they're just ramping up to start shooting now. So that could be, and if they are, then that kind of lines up a little bit with the idea of them maybe having it be Doctor Strange 2, right? We've got the one part of that overall story with Wanda Maximoff and WandaVision starting. We're going to get the second part of that story with Spider-Man 3, and then that whole story is going to cap off with Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. So maybe it's that one. The one reason why I don't really see it being Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is honestly this. If there's any one thing, if there's any property in the MCU that Captain America doesn't really fit into, like you could fit Captain America into a Spider-Man movie. You could fit Captain America into a Black Panther movie. You could fit Captain America into a lot of things. There's a lot of things you could fit Captain America into. The one thing that you would have a little bit of a hard time fitting him into, in my opinion, is probably would be the stuff with the wizards, with Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange 2 is a possibility. I just think it's a little bit unlikely. Another option on the table that some people are mentioning is Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok, that one's done. Thor Love and Thunder. Thor Love and Thunder. That's one. I mean, honestly, like we already know there's great on-screen dynamic between Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans. The funniest interview I have ever done in my life, many of you guys have seen it, was me sitting down in a room with Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth. It's the funniest damn interview I've ever done in my life. I've never had more fun. I've never laughed harder in an interview ever than sitting down with those two. So those two have incredible chemistry together. It's going to be stacked. And Lee Sandoval and Carissa both send in super chat badges in the live chat. Thank you so much, Sandoval and Carissa. I really appreciate that. And I love the thing in the live chat you sent in there, Carissa. That's adorable. Okay. So, and it's being directed by Taika Waititi. So why wouldn't Chris Evans want to come back and be directed by Taika Waititi? Plus, it's already a really impressive cast. We've got the other Chris is going to be in there. Chris Pratt's going to be there. We got Christian Bale is going to be in there. This cast is stacked. This could be really a really big, impressive thing. Thor Love and Thunder could maybe kind of be the next Captain America Civil War. Maybe, perhaps. Not saying it will for sure, but it's a possibility. So there's that one. I think this one is the highest possibility. The one argument against it being Thor Love and Thunder is that Taika Waititi has known his story for Thor Love and Thunder for a long time now. So, you know, why would they only be talking to Chris Evans now about coming back as Captain America? It's a valid observation. It's a valid observation. I still think that one is most likely. There's another one is Stephanos sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thanks, Stephanos. There's another one, of course, that some people are talking about, which is maybe Black Panther 2. You know, they recently had to go back and, you know, rewrite Black Panther because Ryan Coogler, director of the first Black Panther, he was writing and creating Black Panther 2, obviously with T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman in mind. They've had to go back to rewrite that. They need something to have a big hook and appeal to that since Chadwick Boseman's not going to be there. Maybe on top of whoever is going to be taking over the Black Panther mantle, you also bring in another big hero to kind of give credibility to this new Black Panther. And what MCU character gives more credibility than Captain America? Not to mention, Captain America and T'Challa had a very good relationship. They respected each other. They fought together. They fought against each other. But if you want, because think of it this way. and follow me here. Look at Spider-Man Homecoming, right? This was a new Spider-Man. It was the third time they were reviving and rebooting Spider-Man and the character in only a short number of years. It was the first appearance. I mean, not the first appearance, but it's going to be their first standalone movie in there. So what did they do? Let's get an established MCU character that carries a lot of credibility, Tony Stark, and let's put him in that movie with him to help kind of carry it a bit. And the effect was fantastic. Theoretically speaking, maybe they could do the same thing with a Black Panther 2. They're going to have a new Black Panther, a new character filling that role of the mantle of Black Panther. And Cody John Walker sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. So thanks, Cody. So if you're going to have this brand new character taking over this mantle, what other MCU character gives you a bigger bump than having Captain America in there with you? So a Black Panther 2 could obviously be another one as well. Again, Captain America, other than with wizards, Captain America fits just about anywhere. But these are the ones so I think my number one most likely spot, and this is no insider information, this is just me guessing, wildly guessing. But my number one guess is that it's going to be Thor, Love and Thunder. My number two guess would be Black Panther 2. And my number three guess would be something completely different. Something completely different. And Jake sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thanks, Jake. My third choice would be something completely different that we haven't heard about or thought about. I mean, hell, who knows? Maybe he's going to show up in the She-Hulk show. Maybe he's going to be in Moon Knight. Maybe he's going to be in Miss Marvel. Okay, there's one I hadn't thought about. Let's take a second and think about that. Miss Marvel might be a logical choice. Let me just see if I can pull something up here. Miss Marvel could be a great choice because there's a lot of similarities to the Spider-Man thing, right? It's a younger character following in the footsteps, and Miss Marvel's coming up soon, following in the footsteps of another bigger hero. And, finding her footing, she's young and all that kind of stuff. And just like Peter needed a little bit of a mentor figure in Spider-Man Homecoming in Tony Stark, maybe she needs that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, there could be some logic to that. I don't know. So, I'm thinking it's probably going to be a movie, not a Disney Plus show. I'm thinking it's most likely going to be a movie. But at the same time, if Kevin Feige wants to bring some of that credibility to the Disney Plus shows, what gives more credibility than listen, nothing in the MCU gives more credibility than Cap showing up and Chris Evans playing Cap. So anyway, I think this is awesome. I think this is just incredible. I also think it's a no-brainer. We all knew that Chris Evans was coming back. I didn't know it was going to be this soon. And I should point out, that's kind of the one criticism I'm hearing from some people. The one criticism I'm hearing from some people is that it's too soon, some of them will say. Some people are saying it's too soon to have Captain America back. But you've got to understand that just because they're saying this is happening doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen in the next 2 years, the next 3 years. By the time we see Chris Evans back on the screen again, maybe it'll be 3 years from now. Now, here's the thing. I noticed this just a few minutes ago, but Chris Evans, let me see if I can bring it up myself, because it was about 5 or 10 minutes ago I saw this. Chris Evans right now is saying on Twitter that this is news to me. He's putting out news to me. Yeah, I don't buy that. Remember. Let me bring this up with him saying that. So Chris Evans right now is saying this is news to me. Okay, that's fine. But remember, when the news got out that they had cast, what's her name? The Canadian actress, Tatiana. When the news came out that they had cast her as She-Hulk, news came out that she had denied it. Like she had denied it to a certain report, and Carl D. Reed sends out a super chat in the live chat. Thank you so much, Carl. Remember, she put out a thing saying, oh no, I hadn't, no, I just heard about that. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. And then she was there. Listen, this is Deadline. This isn't Carl's gas station movie reviews.fart. This is Deadline that's writing this. And they say they have multiple things. I've said this is pretty much a done deal. So I appreciate that Chris Evans is saying news to me, but that's all that means is that right now, Disney did not want this news coming out. What that means right now is that Disney and Marvel did not want this news coming out right now. Deadline obviously has some of the best sources in all the business. And if they're saying that they have multiple sources that have confirmed this, I'm willing to take that to the bank. But again, remember, getting back to the one criticism I've heard from some people say, and it's fair enough to say it's a little bit too early. Remember again, we're not about to see Chris Evans as Captain America pop up on WandaVision. We're not about to see him pop up on Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's not like by the time we see him on screen, it'll probably be 2.5 to 3 years minimum since we saw him on screen as Captain America last in Endgame. So I wouldn't worry about that part right now. Other people in the live chat throwing in other possibilities. Fantastic Four, maybe Deadpool. All these things are possibilities. These are all big possibilities. It's going to be interesting to see how they go. The big news, though, is Deadline is reporting Chris Evans is back. I completely believe them. I think it's right. Again, let's just take a look one more time at what it was specifically that Deadline wrote. Sources tell Deadline, plural, that Chris Evans is cleaning the dust off his Captain America attire as he expected to reprise the role in the MCU in some form. Still vague if the deal is completely closed, but insiders say it is headed in that direction for Evans to return as Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, in at least one Marvel property, with the door open for a second film. This is some pretty, these are details. This is very detailed things they're giving us here. For a second film, sources add it's unlikely to be a new Captain America installment and more likely to be what Robert Downey Jr. did after Iron Man 3, appearing in films like Captain America Civil War and Spider-Man Homecoming. So, while I love Chris Evans and I completely appreciate him coming out and saying, hey, news to me, that's great. I appreciate him saying this is news to me and all that kind of stuff. But again, all that says to me, and Chris Hunt sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thanks for that, Chris. All that tells me, again, I mentioned before, I will say it again. The only thing that really tells me is that both Chris Evans and Marvel were simply not yet ready for this news to come out. I don't think this was news that was supposed to come out quite yet. And therefore, we got Chris saying that. One of my, I got to say, a couple of my favorite interviews that I've ever done of this. Actually, I love this picture. This is a very special picture to me. This was, and Sean's World sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thanks, Sean. This was at the very first public screening of Captain America, the First Avenger. This was at San Diego Comic-Con. They booked a theater just a little bit away from downtown San Diego to have the first public screening of Captain America, the First Avenger. And I got to be the very first person to interview Chris Evans immediately after the screening. And he was great, and it was fun. We geeked out a bit just talking about his other movie he did with Idris Elba called The Losers. I love that movie, and he and I just kind of geeked out about The Losers for a bit. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that, guys. This is incredible news. It's also inevitable news. We knew he was going to be back. Count on it. Now the question becomes, what's it going to be? How long do we have to wait until we see him? Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this whole thing? Do you think it's too soon for him to come back? Again, I'm telling you, it's going to be a couple years before we see whatever he's going to do on the screen anyway, so I wouldn't worry about that. Do you think this is a good move? Do you think him coming back undermines that beautiful send-off he had, getting that dance with Peggy and having his life with Peggy? To me, it's the MCU. Nothing's forever. What do you guys think? Jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.